Hey everybody, welcome to another week of Enjoy Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian. This week we talk about a number of things, but we really dive into waivers and what happens when players get put on them. So if you're not confused about them before, you will definitely be confused about after. Just want to touch a little bit here on temperature. I don't know how that came up this week, but right now in Vegas, it's 102, which is, I guess, around 40 Celsius. Terrace, our hometown, 55 Fahrenheit, which is approximately, I'm going to say 13 Celsius. So Ian's up and down. He thinks he's an NHL alumni now. So I'll let him explain that during the show. Have a great week. Enjoy.
Good morning, good day, good night. Hello, Jeff. What a big day in hockey.
Hey, Lord Bagg. Yeah, every day is a big day in hockey, isn't it? So
it is.
Wow.
It is. Every day is a big day. I just got back from St. Louis where I did a roast for Jamie Rivers. But it was at the St. Louis Blues practice facility, which also has the St. Louis Blues alumni facility. Man, what a center they've built out there.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredible. So the alumni have got, I would say it's about 3 times the size of my apartment. They got a lounge in there. They got an NHL dressing room in there. They got facilities for rehab, laundry. It's pretty impressive. It's really built up very nice for them. And then they have an outdoor rink which doubles as a concert venue, and that's where we did the roast for Jamie.
Wow! Did you skate?
I didn't get to skate because I just recovered from the old. Because I recovered from the COVID. I didn't show up until Friday night, Saturday morning, so I didn't get to skate. But Tony Twist came on stage and scared the shit out of me. I don't know what it must have been like playing against him, because he's not that tall of a man, but just he feels like he's a giant when he just walks onto this when he walks near you. You're just like, did you play against?
Yeah, I did. I played minor hockey against Tony. He's from Prince George.
Is he from Prince George?
Yeah, he's from Prince George. So now I guess we'd be pretty close to the same age. Obviously, we played minor hockey together. But yeah, Tony was a really wide, big guy. And when I mean wide, like I don't mean like normal kids out there, they look like big players. Tony is, you hit it, he's huge. He's a huge player. And he became a very intimidating player. And until he got in a accident, someone pulled out in front of him.
He was on a motorbike.
On a motorcycle. Someone pulled out in front of him coming out of a shopping center, and he hit the front of that and rolled over, and of course sustained some injuries from that kind of was the end of his career, unfortunately for him. But the fact he's up there walking on the stage with you is very positive news, because motorcycles and cars don't usually equal a good outcome. So, but yeah, I've known Tony or of Tony for many, many years. So we played minor hockey against each other.
What are the chances of a team letting somebody drive a motorbike now? I'm sure they would probably be called as no, according to the contract, you can't ride a motorbike, right? Because we've had a couple incidents with NHL players and motorbikes, and it hasn't turned out well.
Yeah, I don't know, because I remember seeing here when John Merrill was with the Vegas Golden Knights. He went signed free agent with Detroit last year, and they traded him to Montreal in the playoffs. I remember them showing him riding a practice. I think he had a Vespa. And I'm like,
and you
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he got away with that, because up where the Knights practice is just off the 215 freeway in Vegas, but it's also quite a busy area. I can't remember the street that comes down through there, but he would have had to transition across the freeway on an overpass. And I remember I saw a picture of him riding his Vespa. So I don't know what the deal is, but I can guarantee if it's not in contracts, it's strongly discouraged. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some writing in there. Like, another thing that they're not allowed or supposed to be doing is downhill skiing or snowboarding, anything like that could cause an injury, right? And then have them miss time.
That kind of connects to what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about waivers. Do you know, so when a guy gets hurt off the ice, right, How does that affect his contract? Does insurance click in? Is that contract insured by the player and the team?
Yeah, it's probably something that's really evolved over the years. I can give you an example back when I played, and I had started my flying, so I was taking my private pilot license, and I'll never forget when I was up in Detroit for the playoffs. Neil Smith, who was our assistant general manager then went on to be the general manager of the 1994 Stanley Cup champion New York Rangers, Neil Smith, and been on TV for many years, came up and asked me if I was now one of the Wright brothers. So it obviously had come across their radar that I'd been taking flying lessons, and there wasn't anything in there to stop me from doing it, but wasn't exactly encouraged. I would say probably
wasn't thrilled by it.
Mm-hmm.
He was not thrilled by it. He was not.
No, he was pretty funny, but Neil was a great guy, so we kind of had some fun with it. But how much fun are you going to have with your assistant general manager back then when you're 19, 20 years old, right? You're like, okay, got it. But if you grew up where we grew up, which you did, you know what? And my dad got a small airplane. I fell in love with flying, so I thought, well, why not? When I was in junior, start looking at learning, getting my ratings. So I don't know if you could even take pilot lessons today. There would be all kinds of stuff in these contracts that these guys have that they would not be allowed to do, and it would probably void their contract. And not just like ride a motorcycle or learn how to fly or snowboarding. For example, right now there's investigation going on into gambling, right? Stuff like that. So this is pretty far reaching where it might end up taking you. But I'm pretty sure there's a template for every NHL contract that says you shall not do this, 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 and this. Shall.
Yeah,
not should, shall. Yeah.
What color Corvette was he driving, Neil?
Funny you should ask that, because I think shortly thereafter, after we were talking about me being one of the Wright brothers and learning how to fly, he goes, yeah, but Sharps, I brought my Corvette tonight. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Red Wings, Neil had a red Corvette back then.
Red Corvette, Neil. Yeah. Good for you, Neil, and showing it off to the young guys trying to learn how to fly.
He had a red Corvette, yeah. Wasn't that one of Prince's songs? Was that
Little Red Corvette? Yep, that's Prince. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to actually. Well, maybe one day we can talk to Neil and see. But I'm almost sure it was a red Corvette he had. So it was funny. So I'm not allowed to go fly airplanes, but he's running around one of the hottest sports car on the highway at the time, or one of them, right?
That's awesome.
And that's another thing. They all drive nice cars and really fast cars, a lot of them. So
all of them, yeah.
I don't know.
Nobody's showing up in a 2005 Saturn. I guarantee you that. But back to Prince, just to let people know, this is not just a hockey podcast. We talk about other things every so often, but it's a majority of hockey podcast. There is a documentary on Rick James right now, and he produced some of Prince's stuff, and you can see where Prince got his from Rick James. It is one of the most interesting documentaries found on Showtime right now. Rick James documentary, and it's around that time, and he lives in Buffalo the whole time too. By the way, you know how hard how hard it is to get a player to go to Buffalo. Well, he did everything in Buffalo, and stars would go there to work with him. It was crazy. So Buffalo. Speaking of people being put on waivers, so have you ever been put on waivers?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. Of course. So yeah. Back, and we were talking about this a little bit before, so there's some confusion on waivers. Back in the day, this is years ago, they used to have what they call recall waivers, basically. And I don't know if baseball or some of these other leagues still have this, but where they could put you on, they set you out for the purpose of sending you down to the minors, so they'd have to waive you, but they could be recallable waivers. So if another team put a bid in for you, they just call you back, and then they keep doing it. So it was kind of a way for all the teams to protect their assets, from other teams.
But which is weird, because being put on waivers is saying you're not protecting them, but then being recallable waivers is saying I'm not protecting you, but I'm protecting you. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, it is. And where the waiver situation comes in, like you'd have a lot of what they'd call restricted free agents. So I believe if you have a younger player that hasn't played a certain amount of games in the NHL, you could send them up and down. But once they hit a certain age, certain amount of years pro, maybe a certain amount of games in the NHL, then they're subject to, if you try and send them down, another team can pick them up. And how that works is say you have a team, so let's just use Colorado. Colorado goes and wants to send down one of their young guys that has to clear waivers. Okay. The bottom place team in the league, and then from there on up, has the first crack at these guys. And so you see a little bit more now than you used to, but like they'll do another thing. They'll put a guy on waivers, and then, with the purpose of unconditionally buying him out. Like, so they're going to put him on waivers. If someone wants him, they can have him. If they don't want him, then the player ends up getting waived.
Yeah.
And then he's a free agent, right? So that's what happens too. In one case, you get put on waivers, and that's so they can get you down to the minors. Another case is they put you on waivers for the purpose of outright just buying you out, releasing you. And then there's a few different ways to do it, but yeah. And then there's the other one.
When is the best time for when is it in the player's advantage to be put on waivers? Is it when you're just not fitting in, or when is the best time for a player?
Well, let's just use an example. There's another way of doing the waivers too, and that would be I guess I was just thinking about the two guys in Minnesota this summer that they bought out, in Parise and the D-man that went down to Suter, that went down, ended up signing in Dallas. But they ended up buying those guys out, and then they just became free agents. So I guess it would probably a good time for that would be if you got a younger player that's just not developing in your system, it doesn't seem very happy. You've asked around, see who's interested in them, and nobody was really interested in them. So you just kind of put them on waivers. And if someone doesn't take them, and if they take them under the contract that he signed under with you. If he goes through waivers, he could end up in your minor league system, or you could buy him out and he could be a free agent, go sign with anyone else. So there's some cases like that every year. And a lot of times it might be a younger guy that just can't find his footing in your organization, or maybe just trying to move on. Or a lot of cases, it could be an older guy. I was surprised last year in the NHL, some of the guys that went up and down through waivers because they had the taxi squad. So to move them off the big team to the taxi squad or to the minors, they'd have to clear waivers. And there wasn't a lot of action there.
Nice. It just doesn't sound good to be put on waivers, but it sounds like it works out for the most of the time either way, for the most part, Well, there's, when people say, well, why would you put a guy on waivers that might make your team? I'll give you an idea. Like a kid this year in Vegas, a young D-man who's right on the cusp of making the team. And this is when it becomes a real issue for teams. And there's lots of players out there like this. But I'll give you Dylan Coughlin's a young player in Vegas. He came up last year. He scored a hat trick against Minnesota in one of his first games. I'm not sure how many games he played with the Knights. They moved him around the lineup. He's a natural defenseman. He can move the puck. He can skate well. He's got a really good shot. But Vegas is full on D, so some nights he'd play right wing. Well, talk about, a fish out of water, asking a guy who's played his whole life to play, probably hardly ever played any wing in his life. Now he's playing wing in the NHL. So they're just trying to find a way to get the kid some ice time. Now training camp's coming. He is right now, I would guess, slotted in at 7 or 8 in their depth chart. I mean, if you look at Vegas, you got Theodore, Pietrangelo, Martinez, McNabb, Haig, and Whitecloud. Okay, that's kind of I don't know how many I got there. I think I got 6. That is stacked.
Yeah, and you've already got 3 really good young players. Like Theodore's still a young guy, even though he's established in the league. But Haig came on big time for him last year. And Whitecloud has been just an amazing find for them.
Who's older, Martinez or Pietrangelo?
What's that?
Who's older, Pietrangelo or Martinez?
Martinez, I think, is older. Pietrangelo, I think, just turned 30. So he might even be late 20s.
You could have that lineup for 3 or 4 years of defense.
Yeah, you've got it. So here, and the reason I'm using this case is because Vegas is one of the more high-profile teams in the league. People might not watch them as much as some of their favorite teams. But I'm just giving you an example of a young guy who's right on the verge and ready to play. So if he doesn't make the Knights, right, he's got to go somewhere. So he has to get put on waivers unless they can do a trade with another team and get something back. And for example, if he gets sent down to the Silver Knights next year, he's going to have to clear waivers.
He's not
like Buffalo or
he's not going to clear it, was what you're telling.
Yeah, someone's probably going to grab him, right? So you have this young player you've developed for the last, what are they, 4 years old now? So he's been getting developed for 3 years. Let's just say he's playing with them now, but it's a full house on the back end in Vegas.
Right.
Well, what he has to do is he has to come in and blow their doors off. And then they have to look at saying, well, maybe someone else, we got to look to move someone else, because there isn't anybody on their defense in Vegas that's there right now currently that they could put on waivers and send them to the minors. So
okay, let's do this.
Anyways, we'll move on.
Let's play a little game called "What if he comes in and blows the doors off everybody?"
Mm-hmm.
Who do you put him up for trade, or do you put somebody else up for trade? Who do you try to move?
You and we'll just stay with Vegas because it's easy. I'm here in Vegas today.
Yeah. We're playing a little game called "Who are we going to trade from Vegas?"
Well, the thing about Vegas is, too, that everyone knows that watches this, especially our friends in Australia, is Vegas isn't afraid to make the big move, right? They are all in on everything. And I wish you'd quit saying we're fifth in Australia, because I thought we were up to fourth.
Oh, we are fourth.
Dragging around that with all weekend. I was like, Ian, I thought we were fourth.
Oh, we are.
Okay, so here's your options with a young player, and this could go for any team in the league. Let's just use Dylan Colgan, though. So he comes in, blows their doors off. They get their power play going, which they sorely need, and that's something that he could help them with as he grows and gains more confidence as a young defenseman. He plays really well in his zone. So now you have either, hey, he can move someone else out, and by moving someone else out, maybe you are able to do a deal with another team to tie this, a player, and you can make a splash somewhere else. So maybe, or you might move a young guy like that for a higher draft pick. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to fetch you a first rounder, or another young player that you maybe could use as a forward, right? So there's so many different ways that this goes. I feel like I'm keeping you up right now.
No, I'm thinking about that player. Yeah, I'm sorry that I was rubbing my eyes going, Jesus, this is boring.
Would he just finish?
No, what I was thinking was, does a guy like him go from a team that's in the hunt down to Buffalo? Like, is there any chance he stays with a team that's still in the hunt? Could he end up in Edmonton, or is he definitely going to someplace that doesn't have a chance?
Well, it just depends what the needs are. And of course, if you look at a team like Buffalo, the needs are everywhere.
Yeah.
And a right-handed defenseman, he's about 6'2", and he can skate, and they love those guys. So this is something Vegas is trying to run scenarios too. It's not like Vegas is going to get to the start of the season where they have to be salary cap compliant, I think, the night before the season starts, and goes, we got Dylan Colgan. What are we going to do with them? Or we have someone else. What are we going to do with them?
Yeah.
These are scenarios that these guys are talking about throughout the summer. They've been thinking about it. They've known well in advance that this was a possibility.
Right.
And sometimes there's just not a good option. And or that player now has another team, and they're able to do some kind of trade, right, where they move maybe two guys out and bring one guy in, and now you don't have to worry about sending anybody down.
Right. I don't think they've looked at it at all. I think they've just spent the summer at the lake, and they've been having barbecues, eating hot dogs, and they're just going to be surprised when they get back.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I had no idea we were that close to the cap.
Yeah, I'm sure every team has situations like this, and I don't. A young player like that, there's going to be lots of those guys come up around the league, but a young player like that that's kind of showing some spark and some ability, it would be really tough to get him through waivers down to the Silver Knights.
Nice, Jeff. We're gonna do a little game today. We're doing a thing today. I'm pulling out a card. We got 19 minutes. Pulling out a card. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you two questions, maybe 4 questions. We're going to ask you 2 for sure. You tell me if you know who these people are. All right. Here's the question.
Right. Okay.
Which San Jose Shark owns over 150 pets?
That would be Brett Burns.
Very nice. Very nice. I guess we're going to ask a couple more. That's what it's going to have that on.
I didn't even flinch on that one. As soon as you said pets, and he's got this big ranch, I think, in Texas somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a huge ranch down there that he goes down to. Of the NHL's original 6 teams, which team's hometown was furthest north?
Of the original 6, which team is furthest north?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you would have to go with Boston on that one.
You want to try it again? Original 6.
Is it Montreal?
You're right. Second time you were right.
Well, I was going to say Montreal, and you know what? I should have stayed with that, but I thought you were trying to trick me because as it comes up, Boston's up there ways too. But yeah, it'd be Montreal.
Well,
sorry,
just to let you know, Jeff. I don't play this. I don't do this podcast to trick you. I do this podcast.
Well, I never knew I was answering questions today, so I'm not saying you're lying, but come on.
I just you know what, we probably bored them to death with some of the waiver talk. So let's play some games that people are going to answer at home. I'm going to ask you 3 more questions. Which team drafted Rob Ramage in the expansion draft?
Oh man, you know what? That's a really good question. So Ramage played. He was in St. Louis. He was in Calgary, I think. San Jose.
Nope.
I don't know.
It was the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh wow, I wouldn't have got them.
So did Tampa and San Jose come in at the same time?
Well, they just went 25 years over in I guess maybe they did because you know what? No, I think San Jose came in by themselves. We might have to fact check that, but I think they just went over 25 years, and I think they came in on their own.
Which has been the most impressive, say, in the last 25 years? Which has been the most impressive? And this isn't a question I'm asking. This is a question I'm asking for myself. Who do you think has been the most impressive organization? Which one?
It's a really good question. For a while, I would absolutely, in the 90s, would say Detroit because they were just there every year. Of course, probably a little bit hometown bias there. I would also say Tampa Bay's been very impressive with the way that they built that organization in Southern Florida, which wasn't always as easy because we see how the Panthers have struggled and are now starting to get their feet underneath them. You could look at LA and Chicago a little bit too. Those teams have done well, but I would also have to tip my hat to Vegas just because they're 4 years into it. And this is a really unique story because we can all sit and watch Vegas grow and make decisions and do things, and then we can sit and critique it, right, almost by the minute because we know their history starting 4 years ago, and so yeah, I'm sure there's another organization there, but
sometimes it's almost easier to be a expansion team and learn from all the mistakes that have happened.
Yeah, they haven't been, they've gone head first in on a lot of stuff. But one of the things Vegas did, they picked up fabulous people, hockey people to go out, find these young players, find the players that maybe weren't getting a lot of time on these NHL teams. They have an owner that's all in, and that's a huge thing. And I guess another team talk maybe about Boston for a second there too. Boston perennially is a part of the conversation, so you have to give them credit. And then another team that's really shot up in the last 4, 5, 6 years and had success before winning cups was Colorado.
Colorado, definitely Colorado.
And there's a lot of good ones, but definitely those teams seem to stand out to me.
Okay, here comes another question. The original Stanley Cup was made completely of silver. What
Mhm.
has now been added to the cup to create an alloy?
Something that's dent resistant.
It is not dent resistant. Something that
They
can be
dropped
welded.
it again. Do you
Yeah,
just see it after
yeah.
the parade? And
Something that can be welded.
Kevlar? Yeah, I don't
Um,
know.
it's 5 cents. It's 5 cents worth. They've added 5 cents worth.
Nickel.
Nickel. There you go. That's nickel. Did you know that? You didn't know that there was nickel in there was the alloy. I thought it was all silver still as well too. I didn't know that they had added anything in. Here's a very interesting question. Here's a Vancouver Canuck. How many times did Doug Lidster score 12 goals in a season?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say 3.
Oh, you're very close. Twice.
Okay,
Twice.
that's not bad.
I didn't really. I guess I didn't know he was not known for his scoring, was he? He was known as the original stay-at-home defenseman.
Well, but he had obviously had some upside, and was a really good player for Vancouver for a long time. So,
Great player.
yeah.
He was a great player in a land of horrific times. So he had, yeah. Let's get to this next one. I'm gonna keep asking because I kind of like no, that one's that's stupid. Which NHL goalie holds the record for most points in a single game?
I would say, well,
Correct.
if someone's saying correct, I have to go with Brodeur or Hextall.
It's a name you're not. Jeff Reese, and I don't even know what. Yeah,
Philly. Okay, I think he might have been in Philly. So we were in the. I think he was in Philly, right? Wasn't he, Reese? So maybe same geographic area, roughly.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I would have thought Brodeur or Hextall because they were both so good at handling the puck, and of course Hexy scored the first goal ever by a goalie, didn't he? So
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Extall was insane. And is still. What is the name of the pass that flies through the air rather than gliding on the ice?
Sauce.
Very nice. Very nice. Here's a random question. In the USSR, which doesn't exist anymore, which animals were trained to play ice hockey for the circus?
Bears.
Yes, they were. It's very people get down on the Russians, but some of the shit they did with their circus animals.
I know. I mean, they're very innovative, right? They take them down, and you look at some of the players they've sent over here. Ovi.
Right. Oh yeah, they may not.
These are unreal.
Yeah, they may not. They may not know how to share toilet paper, but let me tell you, they know how to train animals. Oh, here's one for you. Which Detroit?
Last one.
This is the last one. Oh, come on now. 2 more. I got 2 more, you son of a bitch.
2 more. Okay.
Which Detroit Red Wing had the number 12 retired in 1995?
Oh, geez, you're gonna hurt me with that one. I'm gonna go with Delvecchio or Lindsay. Number 12. Number 12. I should know this. Lindsay, I think, was 7. So maybe Delvecchio.
Was Sid Abel.
Sid Abel. Sorry. Oh, I can't say that.
We're gonna have to black out. I
should just shut it down now. I should know that. I'll tell you a quick story about Ted Lindsay.
Okay.
He used to show up. I used to think I was getting to the rink early when I was up in Detroit. Okay. I had nothing else to do. I was either in a hotel or an apartment just down the street. And I'd walk to when we used to practice in Joe Louis quite a bit. And I walked in there and I'm like, I'm early. I'm going to get I got to do extra. I got to do this and that. Ted Lindsay had already been on the bike for like an hour. Be like, hey, Sharples. I'm like, hey, Mr. Lindsay. And I'd be riding a bike beside this guy. And it was unbelievable. And that was one of the cool things about being around Original 16. Mickey Redmond still does the color for Mickey. Mick was just a great player, in the league too. But yeah, this guy was up at the rink working out before anybody else ever got there. Like the trainer, he waiting for the trainers to let him in. That's how it was. It was crazy.
We'll end it on this because we started off with the alumni dressing room being at the practice rink. So back then, the alumni would hang out in the practice dressing room. Back then, they wouldn't have their own thing. They just be hanging out.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Like so the main dressing room in Joe Louis, and then they blew all that out, and it's a whole nother level today. Like what they have for they're not there anymore. They're in Little Caesars, but they have their whole facility set in there. And I'll find out about a dedicated alumni room because I know when I heard that was St. Louis, I think it's fantastic. But Detroit had this gym that was attached to the dressing room. So the stalls where everyone got changed for practicing the game were right there. And then just you'd walk 20, 30, 40 steps and you could be in the gym. So he'd be in there every morning. Yeah. But now there's dedicated place for the alumni, and the facilities that they have to train the players at is crazy. It'd be like, I don't know if you're in the States at 24-hour fitness or, up in Canada, whatever your big gym is. I mean, that level of equipment, maybe not as many, but yeah, they would have everything. So
great. Well, just to let you know, I was given an alumni shirt this weekend, an alumni jersey. So I'm now St. Louis Blues alumni. I have my own tag.
You have to put up their Winter Classic jersey. It was just showing this morning. It is awesome.
It is great. Yeah, it is a great look. Put that picture up. We'll also put a picture of my alumni jersey. Ian Bagg didn't play for the Blues, but he's alumni. Ian Bagg, fantastic. Jeff, have a good week. We'll see you next week. Loved all.
Are you not going to go any shout-outs this week?
Nope, too late.
Gave you a jersey. You're going to shut them down? All right. Okay, I guess we'll go without this week.
You have a shout-out?
I don't know. I just thought
I
you usually put me on the spot.
The shout-outs. I the shout-outs. I don't know.
Okay. So here's the thing. I tried to wrap us around 2022 today. I was like, okay, last question. And now you're panicking because we're at 31.
Yeah. It jumps. It goes 14:35. It doesn't. There's just no. It doesn't make sense at all. Okay, wrap it up. A big shout out to everyone. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
I'm going to shout out to my nephew. Yeah, everyone, way to go. Well, I guess this includes Tiber then, my nephew. They just finished up on Friday night in their last slow pitch softball game of the summer up in the big city of Terrace, British Columbia. So congrats, Tiber, on another year. They were first place. I still don't have a score, but I know that my mom said when she's going to the game, it was like 48 degrees, which is 9 Celsius. So a little chilly, but a shout out to Tiber because he's a good ball player and just want to recognize my nephew. So love to all.
48 degrees. That's why it's slow pitch, because your balls will slow down in 48-degree weather. Love to all.
Well, that's it for another week of Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian. I hope you're still with us, still listening after that riveting display of expertise on waivers. And Dylan Coughlin, who is from Nanaimo, British Columbia, good BC boy, just like Ian and I are. So have a great week. Keep enjoying Orange Slices and love to all.